This is probably my most played game off of stream. Anytime I'm not streaming and I'm playing video games, it's Slay the Spire. Cans on. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, they're using cards.
Honestly,
As they're
it's
telling their
incredibly
little
humbling
documentary.
and awesome that we're #1. I remember a
these
distinct
plushies?
moment when I was walking down the street with my wife when we first started working on Slay the Spire, and I was saying how great it would be if we sold enough copies that quitting my software job wasn't just the worst financial decision in the world. And now here we are, and it's just like mind-blowing.
I love that.
Why did we start working on Slay the Spire 2? I guess it felt a bit like
I love that it was like
business in
a
way.
leap of faith
Some of the
kind
ports
of
were
to
still not
make
out
this
at the
game,
time.
too.
There were some limitations with the engine. We didn't think the game was gonna be so big, to put it frank. So we figured maybe a sequel is a good place.
I've definitely thought about what makes Slay the Spire so compelling to people and how I can make it better into Slay the Spire 2. The thing that makes games, and in particular card games, so engaging is that they're a series of discrete, meaningful choices. Usually they're pretty comprehensible, like you're not overwhelmed with just this infinite array of things, and you can say, okay, if I do this, it's gonna have this impact, and if I do this, it's gonna have this impact. And distilling down on that strong, distinct choice that the player can look back on and be like, oh, I messed up here. That's like the key of deck builders and why they work so well.
I agree.
Every choice you make is like
It's
hard.
all about
That's kind of like the essence,
learning.
I think, of deck builders, is having every single choice be quite difficult. You choose a card, generally about 3 cards per turn. And so each of those choices, if they're not difficult, you're gonna just feel like you're just pushing buttons. I think there's a sentiment that if you do things that require you to use your brain, you get tired. But I feel like it's the other way around. If you
feel
do
like it
things that
wakes you
stimulate you
up.
more often, I feel like
Yeah.
the muscle in which you can use to like think about hard decisions.
This is making
gets
me
better
think
and
of the
better.
nights when I
And then you
played
kinda
Slay the
crave it
Spire
over
till
time.
like 5
Kind of
a.m.
like getting addicted to
Like
like
I was only gonna
exercise.
play
If you
one,
have
like only like,
stimulating
you know, the
choices, I
next
think it
act,
actually
and then
gives
it's
you
like,
more energy.
oh, you know what, maybe the
Complexity
next act,
is
and maybe
really important
another
to Slay the
game.
Spire. I think part of the secret sauce of why it works is that we're able to manage complexity such that there's different layers of complexity in Spire, but they don't overwhelm the player, and as you get better, you can interface with different levels of it. So as you start at Slay the Spire, you're often just focusing
But
on
it
the
also
card,
kind of
choosing
ramps
which
up
card to
with
add to
you,
your
which
deck,
is, I think, the
playing
thing that makes
combat.
it really
and as you
smart.
get better, you're looking at kind of more of a high level. Or
Makes
like,
it really
okay, how am
fun.
I gonna path up this map to better manage my risk reward, handle things like that. With Slay the Spire 2, we want to add more complexity for returning players, but also we don't want to overwhelm so that new players can't enjoy the game at all. And kind of managing this has been interesting, and I think we've got it just right.
If you're new to deck builders, we tend to put a lot of tutorials in that detect when you're confused. So we really try to gently guide people into playing the
so
game.
smart.
But you know, it's okay. I think if the game launches pretty popular, you should be able to have some friends that help you too.
That's true.
Designing cards has always
I
been
would
kind
be
of my
happy
wheelhouse.
to
I grew up playing Magic,
help people
so I've always
if
been
they
like
needed help
super
with Slay the
involved in
Spire.
card
It's
games.
such a fun
we have
game.
way more cards in
But I
Slay the
think
Spire
the
2,
fun of Slay
and
the
that
Spire is also
introduces
finding
a
your own
whole
path.
new bunch of challenges because every card you add to the game
There's already
adds
so many
more
cards,
room for
too.
interactions with other cards, more ways for the player to break things, and just in general, like, it blows up the play space. One of the big differences between Slay the Spire 1 and 2 is that we have grown our team up and actually scale up so we can make kind of just a bigger game overall. The art is way more polished, there's more animations, more visual effects, there's more characters, more events, more relics, more cards. Returning characters have totally different card pools.
This is one
with
that
new
I also
cards
really
as
want to
well.
own the
In
board
addition,
game
we've
for, but the
tried
board game is
to
so big
expand
because
out
there
some
is
of the play space for what you
so
can do
much
with cards and other things
diversity when
in
you're
this
playing
game. So
a
you can
game
apply
and how it can
enchantments to your
change.
cards to modify them and make them more powerful. Enemies
What?
can also mess with your cards in ways they couldn't before.
Oh,
You also have,
no.
new quest events where you can engage with the event system in a different way than you could in Slay the Spire 1. So lots of little things that I think add up to a much bigger whole.
That's
In
cool.
addition to writing significantly more lore, with Slay the Spire 2, we have a whole new mechanic based around the lore, and I don't want to say how it works or anything, but we call it the timeline, and it's going to give the players just way more information about the game world, the actors in it, and just everything about it.
What?
Just everything is kind of bigger than it was in Slay the Spire 1.
The timeline. Tell me
In a
more.
given
I
week,
love lore
Anthony
in
will give
games,
us
so
maybe like 20 to 30 different changes. Again, ranging from again, tweaking numbers or even just cutting cards altogether, adding new ones. I think over the course of the game, let's say every character has 60 cards. I think they've gone through at least 100, 200 versions, like actually design cards that have been cut or remade over the course of the last, say, 3-4 years.
The analogy that I always use for game design, and in particular card game design, is that it's kind of like you're a butcher. You generate like thousands, tens of thousands of different ideas, and then you look at them all and then you go, these are bad, and you just cut them all away, and this constant culling process. And then the ones you do keep, then you're usually changing all of those and refining them. Very rarely is there just this golden idea you keep from start to finish.
Yeah.
Those are incredibly rare, and most of it is like this
That's why it's
incredibly
such a great
destructive
game, though,
process,
because
and that's what I think makes game development so interesting and different than other creative mediums.
you aren't afraid to make stuff to throw it away.
The Necrobinder
I think
is
sometimes
the newest
games
character
that
we
don't do as
revealed
well is
information
because
on for
people
Slay
get
the
so
Spire
attached
2.
to an idea
And
even when
she's
it
got
doesn't
several
work in the
different
game.
archetypes you can go into. One
And
is built
by
on
people, I
summoning.
don't usually
She
mean
has
the
a
developers
minion
are the
she can
ones
summon
doing
called
that,
Asti, and
obviously.
she
I
can
think it's
have
usually
him
people
attack
above
and
them.
build up defenses on him so that he can take hits for her.
So Necrobinder is supposed to be a more complex character compared to the Ironclad and Silent. She has a pet. She has a pet hand named Asti. It's a big hand. Asti gets bigger and bigger the more HP it has, which is very funny. So I highly recommend making Asti huge.
Another is
Make
she can
Asti
doom enemies,
huge.
which has kind of a risk-reward nature to it because the enemies will still get to attack you on the turn that they're going to die. She has a souls-based mechanic where she's drawing tons and tons of cards, but it's kind of hard and slow to get going. And she's got also lots of other little archetypes that she can kind of blend into the other ones. And I think she's our most complicated character to play so far, and I think Slay the Spire 1 players will really enjoy her.
I'm very excited as a Slay the Spire 1 player. Oh my god, the art.
When we're describing sort of the aesthetic of Slay the Spire and Slay the Spire 2, it really is,
love
I
the
don't know a
backdrop
better
on
way
her
to describe
computer,
it
too.
except grim dark with whimsy in it. Like
Yeah,
you will
yeah.
kind of meet these really horrifying monsters or like, you know, eldritch horrors in a way.
Also, her
And then you'll
sweater
also
is
do an
excellent.
event where there's like a goblin there wearing a suit that wants to spin a wheel with you. So I think it's a very unique balance of aesthetics in there that you're trying to, you know, make a serious fantasy world, but have some fun with it and have some weirdness injected into it.
I'm not sure why, but I feel like our artists really enjoy making cute things or gross things. So there's a lot of oozy things and a lot of cute enemies, and that's okay, you know? I don't think Slay the Spire
Cute
has
and
to
oozy.
be gothic, blood flying everywhere, ripping hearts out.
No,
We
I
are
don't think
working
that
on
that works.
a sequel
actually.
to a game that
I think
kind
Slay
of
the
has
Spire
an
is that
established
combination of those
visual
two
style
things.
that people I think really attach to. I think players attach to it because this is a game that some people, you know, play for hundreds of hours and
Yes.
they remember it so fondly, and we want to be able to provide them like a recognizable space, but also upgrade it in a way that it does look new, it does look fresh, it does look like a sequel.
Right.
You don't want to be playing through a game over and over and over again and seeing kind of the same or very similar designs.
Well, because
like
we already
back to back
have
to back
the
to back.
first
Like you
game
want,
too,
like,
right?
there
So I
has to
want to
be
be
a
able
breadth
to
of
play
content there.
both.
I think I really enjoy that concept of variety
And
a
love
lot.
them for
it's not
what
even
they
just
do.
replayability, but it's being able to come back to the game and say, I don't know what's going to happen this time. Like, I'm going to play the silent. Am I going to do a shiv deck? Am I going to do a poison deck? Like, what enemies am I going to see? And
That's the best.
on the
Every
map, how is
time
that
it
going
feels
to
like you're
change,
making
like what
unique
kind
choices.
of stuff I aim to go for. And I think what's really fun about those as a player is the way that that system works can really encourage you to play a game in a way you maybe
Yeah.
wouldn't think
It
to.
does. It
otherwise.
encourages
Like,
you
you're
to
almost
play.
like funneled into different ways of playing. And there's not necessarily like a way that you're just going to go for the meta every single time you play, because you're going to be given different circumstances to adapt to.
Yeah, and it's also it's a game that there's so
I
much
definitely had some
love in
hesitation
it.
with working on a
You
sequel
want to play, you
because
want to explore,
oftentimes
because
they don't hit as
just because
hard
I
or come
enjoyed
up,
the way
why
I
was a
played with this
sequel made?
character
To me,
before
actually, that
doesn't
made
mean
it
I want to
kinda
do that every
interesting
time.
because trying to figure out new twists
It's
that
like
you can
fun
do while
to
still
explore
keeping
new
kind of the same
strategies in
core
it.
formula or keeping the fans happy. It was actually an interesting question that I was kind of interested to dive into. One of the things I've really enjoyed with Slay the Spire 2, and it's already come through, is I found plenty of new ways to make players really suffer when they play. We've made a couple events in particular that have really divided playtesters, and some of them love it because of how awful it is to players. Definitely watch out for the bridge. I'm looking forward to seeing the screenshots and the complaints of all the players whose runs were just ruined by it. So
The bridge?
I'm happy we're launching into early access. For Slay the Spire 1, early access was a huge boon. Like, we constantly pushed out updates. Our players loved it. That kind of direct feedback allows us to improve the game at an incredible speed.
I like to think we have a pretty good conversation with our players. I think we pay very close attention to what people find interesting or delightful, or even if they don't like something, right? We try to figure out how we can flip that around and make them happy. And I think continuing to do that, this kind of back and forth conversation of just like working on the game and then getting feedback is very compelling for us. And so I think early access is maybe the only type of development where you can do that. I guess you can call it live service and do something similar, but
Yeah.
games that are not finished have like a quality where more things can change than a game that is finished and is live service. And maybe that's kind of the allure of calling it early access versus like a game that is done and we're pushing updates.
Yeah.
It's good for us to try to figure out how players feel the first time they play the game, and also we want to know what their relationship with the game is after they play like 100 hours, or sometimes even like 1,000 hours. And the reason I think people feel compelled to play a lot of hours might be because we're trickling in content all the time. There are a lot of bosses already, there are a lot of enemies, there are a lot of events, probably more than the first game just on early access launch. And I think we also kind of set a quality bar internally.
That guy.
And you know, we try to relax those expectations internally all the time. And we fail. And so the quality bar just goes higher and higher, and we just want the content to be better and better, and the game becomes more and more interesting.
I love that. I love all of this. This all sounds really good. I was already excited, but I'm more excited
is the chicken noodle soup of video games. Like, it's not exciting, but I hope people like our soup.
I think people will like the soup.
Slay the Spire 2 launches March 2026. Wishlisted now on Steam.
I'm excited! I'm excited to jump in on that early access. I think this is what I'm gonna have to stream, although I don't know if we stream some Slay the Spire first, because people haven't really seen me play this game. So, I mean, I definitely think I'm gonna need to play that on early access when it comes out. But I guess the question is, do I go back and play some OG Slay the Spire first? Because although I've played a ton of it, I've actually never played it on stream. But if you've seen me play any card games on stream, then you probably have a sense for how much I love card games. I'm really big into deck builders and honestly just card games in general. I don't know what it is about them, but there's something about the strategy and the way that it like plugs into my brain. It's really, really satisfying. What I want to know before we talk a little bit more about what I just watched there and why I'm so excited about this is I want to know, what is your experience like with Slay the Spire, and what are some card games that you love, whether they're video games or tabletop games or even just games that you play with a deck of cards. Let me know down in the comments. And why do you love card games? Tell me, think about it. And then tell me if you have an answer. I guess for me, Slay the Spire is a game that I had heard was really good. It had been recommended to me by a lot of friends who were like, you gotta play Slay the Spire. It's so your game, Amanda. You're gonna love it. And then I finally got into Slay the Spire and I completely understood everything everyone had been saying. And to be honest with you, sitting down and coming into this video, I'm actually dealing with a little bit of a migraine today. I've had this migraine for like 2 days. Sometimes I get really bad migraine attacks. It sucks. If you've ever experienced migraines, I am so sorry. I wish that none of us ever did. However, that is life. And I already know that Slay the Spire 2 is going to be great because just watching this video kind of alleviated my migraine, probably because I've been smiling so much throughout the entire little doc that we get to look into the development of Slay the Spire 2. I just think that this game activates something in my brain that really is like happy chemicals. It is so fun to play. It is addictive to play. and I just don't want to put it down. And it's not even about like the experience in it being solo. I actually really also love playing this game when I have friends around who can kind of watch with me and give input or insight onto something. Or like if I get stuck, I love that there are other friends that play Slay the Spire that I can, you know, ask, like, I'm in this situation. I'm just wondering, like, what do you think I should do? Should I try this strategy or should I try this strategy? What have you found has worked for you? Like, what's your experience with people that I know that, you know, played before I started playing? Because I did only get to this game last year, but it is literally the game that I reach for every time I'm not on stream and I want a game and I want to play something. Slay the Spire has probably been my number one. I don't know how many hours I have in it, but definitely a lot in terms of the amount of hours that I actually game offline. Which is not as much as I would like, but it's also just because I spend so much time online making content. So I do a lot of work. I guess what I'm excited for most with this look into the development is this new sort of hero that we're going to get to play as. I'm really excited for the fact that we're going to have a pet, kind of a companion. I always think that it's really fun when you get to have some kind of little ally who's with you that you can like be leveling up as well. And I feel like I'm going to get really attached to, what did they say? Esty? I feel like I'm going to get really attached to my little hand, and I'm just going to be like, if anything bad happens to it, I'm going to be real sad. I tend to do that in games where I get to have a pet. I also feel like the level of care that they have put into really making sure that they're expanding the game from all sides and leveling it up aesthetically as well, just adding to the art, but really keeping the style, but just heightening what they can do with that. Like they said, adding in more animations, polishing the art. I think that is something that I love about this game, is that it really does feel like a labor of love. They talked about it a little bit here, and I have heard about this, and I think that the lead designer on the game, he mentions, you know, giving up his software job to do this. And I'm pretty sure his partner literally said to him, like, why don't you just leave your job and go do this thing because you really want to do it, and let's like take a chance. And I also just think that's really sweet because it inspires me as someone that did that thing. Like I had a regular job. Well, I mean, a regular job. I had a job where I was employed and I had a paycheck, and I literally left my job because I had a partner who said, what if we just take a risk and, you know, you do this for you, and you do this because I believe in you, and I think that this is going to, one, make you happy, and two, because of that, I believe that you can do it. You can do it as a full-time thing. And I moved from working for someone else to being full-time self-employed. And so when I play Slay the Spire and I think about the way that it came about, it also is just like something that I think really speaks to me as a fellow creative, as someone who also took a risk on myself and on my own ideas. And it has been hard and challenging, as I'm sure it was making the first Slay the Spire, but it has been so rewarding. And, you know, I'm so glad that this game has seen that success, because it is just like a game that makes you feel good playing it. It's a game that makes you want to play. And I think sometimes when people make games, they're so fixated on like the numbers and the money and all of these things that people just forget about why we play games. We play games to have fun. Games are supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be about play. It doesn't mean that you can't lose or be like brutalized by a game. That can be fun, actually. I think it is fun when it's done well. But that being said, you have to make sure the game is fun. You can't just hurt players to hurt players. You can't just make people pay to make people pay. It has to be something that people want to engage in, that people enjoy, because otherwise no one's going to play your game. Anyways, I think I've rambled probably enough about this. I'm just very excited about Slay the Spire 2, and I can't wait till March. It can't come soon enough for me to hopefully dive into the early access. And honestly, even if they need more time, I will wait as long as they need for Slay the Spire 2, because I am sure that it is not going to let us fans down. I am very excited about it. And My hype doesn't even have any fear attached. That's how confident I am. Those are my thoughts on Slay the Spire 2 and this kind of little behind the scenes look at how the development is going. I want to know what your thoughts are. How are you feeling about the fact that, you know, we have needed a bit more time for this game? How do you feel about them going into early access? What are you excited about? Are you nervous about anything? And what other games are you playing that are like Slay the Spire that you'd recommend for me to play, because I always love my card games. So please feel free to suggest down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video and taking the time out of your day and for making it to this point in the video. Oh my goodness, the end. You're a real one if you made it this far. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all of the love and just all of the positive engagement that I've seen on this channel. Like, I know I say this in every video, but it really does mean so much to me. This is a new channel and it is done better than I could have ever dreamed, and we are almost like fully monetized, and I can't believe that it's only been a few months. Thank you. And thank you to those of you that have subscribed as well. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one, and until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you like when I talk about video games with strategy, check out my reaction to this strategy.